Back to politics now, and another big sign of voter discontent this year, a record number of individual issues placed directly on the ballot. One of the most controversial, California's immigration initiative, Proposition 187. More now from NBC's George Lewis.
The initiative, which would deny schooling and other social services to illegal immigrants, sparked student protests again today in Los Angeles and in San Francisco, where marchers converged on City Hall. Police agencies in Southern California have gone on tactical alert in case the demonstrations, which have been peaceful so far, turn violent.
Over the last 10 days, we've had literally hundreds of protests. There's great sensitivity.
Proposition 187 has polarized voters in this state who are either strongly for the measure or strongly against it.
We should be penalizing the employers, and this is where the problem is, I feel. I don't feel the kids are the problem.
Foreigners, they go down and they can get all the services they want. You go down there and ask for services and you can't.
It has become the issue in the governor's race. Pete Wilson, a 187 supporter, is pinning his re-election hopes on anti-immigrant sentiment.
We are going to take back California for the working, tax-paying families of this state.
But the opponents of Proposition 187 have been very active in recent days, trying to turn out the no vote. According to pollsters, the measure, which enjoyed a 2-to-1 lead at one point, is now almost dead even in some polls. A heavy voter turnout is thought to be good for the opponents of 187, but because of bad weather in Southern California, turnout has been on the light side so far. If the initiative passes, the opponents say not only will there be more demonstrations, they'll try to block the measure in the courts. George Lewis, NBC News, Los Angeles.
In California tonight, the popular will of the people and the determination of the governor on hold. A federal court judge has ruled not so fast with Proposition 187, the referendum that eliminates all but emergency services to illegal immigrants in that state. Everyone always said this would be settled in the courts, and tonight, round one. Here's NBC's George Lewis.
In a Los Angeles federal courtroom, civil rights lawyers and the state of California clashed over whether Proposition 187 is constitutional. The measure, passed by 59% of the state's voters, would deny educational and health benefits to illegal immigrants and force the providers of those services to report the names of those immigrants to federal authorities. Today in court, lawyers for civil rights groups argued that Proposition 187 was an unconstitutional measure which would be especially hard on children and people who are sick. Federal Judge Matthew Byrne issued a restraining order which will prevent California from enforcing parts of the proposition. The day after the election, that's something that California Governor Pete Wilson said he intended to do.
Today I am going to take the necessary steps to make possible enforcement of Proposition 187, issuing an executive order that directs state agencies to draft emergency regulations to enforce the law.
Shortly after that, school boards, city councils, and civil rights groups moved to block enforcement of 187.
My district voted 56% no on 187. I'm representing my district.
Now, a citizens group is seeking to recall public officials who oppose Proposition 187. Backers of the recall move say their phones are ringing off the hook.
The voice of citizens together.
Proposition 187 was necessary because the American people have been betrayed by their elected officials. At every level, from the president on down to the school board.
Both sides in this battle believe that Proposition 187 will wind up in the Supreme Court. Other border states, considering their own anti-immigration laws, are eyeing California closely. George Lewis, NBC News.